Yes, lads. So we're here with Charlie O'Donovan. Charlie, real quick before we hop into this episode, I appreciate you giving up the time. We're after eating into about half an hour of the allocated time that we were initially set for ourselves, but just for some technical difficulties on my end. So I apologise for that. But hopefully we can jump past that and make this into a pretty good episode. To be fair, I'm really excited about this because I've had people on the podcast in the past, around my age who are, talking about going over to especially Villanova in America for scholarships and who would like to pursue something like that in the future. But this is the first time having an athlete on who has actually for the past 2.5 years pursued that lifestyle. So as I said, I'm excited to have you on and sorry about the technical difficulties. But for the start here now, just to I doubt I'll do you any justice. Do you want to give a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Charlie O'Donovan. I'm 21 from Cork, and I took up running when I was 13 in secondary school. I suppose I'm most known for being a Villanova athlete for the last 2.5 years. But yeah, I'm enjoying it now. It's good to be back because I was home for the bones of 10 months due to COVID-19, so it's good to be back. But yeah, I'm 800, 1500 being my main event, and also cross country. So I'm happy to be on the podcast, and don't worry about eating into the time at all. It's all good.
No, no, I appreciate that. And just to kind of, start off with your earlier kind of running career, that introduction was very, very humble, I must say, because to get to the position you are there now, it came with a good bit of success that we'll obviously talk about now in a moment. But like me, you started running when you started secondary school when you were 13 years of age, and at that age is kind of the stage where you're getting into doing your own runs and doing the tough sessions and everything. So did you kind of find it hard when you first joined, because it is obviously a very tough physically and mentally demanding sport, or were you like just naturally talented and enjoyed it from the gun?
I suppose like when I got into first year, I was still playing GAA. I was playing hurling, soccer, and football, and I was by no means superstar in any of them, but I was just going through the motions. And to be honest, I heard a meeting in the intercom in my school for a cross country for the team, and I honestly didn't even know what it was 100%. I thought it was something like orienteering or something along that lines, and I
Yeah.
went to it. And but so we do this loop that goes around my school. Basically, you start at school, finish at the school, go out, take a left down this hill, another left, straight up another hill, and back around. I'd say it's about. I'd love to. I should know what it is, but I think it's around 1,300 meters. And I remember going out the first day and coming to the hill and trying to go up it and being gassed. Like all the lads were dropping me, like in my
Yeah.
class and stuff. Um. So no, it definitely wasn't one of those things where it was like I was like a natural superstar from the start. But I remember coming back from it, and while I was in agony, there was a sense of kind of this is my own thing. I'm not on like I love the team aspect of it, but it was like of running with cross country, especially being in America. But at that time, it was like, oh, I'm doing this myself, and even though it was hard, there was a sense of achievement in there. Even doing a small run like that. So that was how I kind of got into it first.
Yeah, definitely. And then from that, kind of the fact that you said you were, in the skill anyway after that, run with the skill, you were gassed after it, and you're an absolute bit. So kind of from that, would you not think? Well, most people would probably think to get away from the sport as soon as possible. And I know the way you mentioned that it was your own thing, and I completely agree with that. It's so much more. You feel so much more that you accomplish something when you kind of do it on your own. But in just terms of like the pain and suffering that you went through on that day, what kind of drew you to actually join a team then?
It's a good question. It was definitely something to improve on, and I was like, you know, I suppose if you look at hurling and soccer, I was getting to that age too where like I was like being left on the sidelines a lot, even though I was working hard. And I was terrible at hurling, but I was slowly kind of getting better at Gaelic football and stuff. And I was really losing my patience with it. And I was like, look, this is something I haven't done. And this is like from the start, and I can see where I can go at something new.
Yeah.
Uh, and one or two of my friends actually in my class decided to do it too. So yeah, and my dad also, he ran a couple of marathons when I was about from the age around 7 to 12, and like he never like pushed me to be a runner or anything like that because he was big into running and cycling, but it was just kind of something I was like, oh well, I'll go the next day. They train. That was the Monday session. I'll go on Wednesday and see what happens. And slowly but surely, like it was like every run I did, it got a bit easier. Even though I'd love to, I wish I had Strava back then. And I was wearing a watch. I'd love to see what my runs actually were. But yeah, I suppose I was just committed to like seeing where it goes. You know what I mean at the start,
Yeah.
and slowly but surely, I suppose probably I'd say my friends and my parents could probably say it was very quickly that I fell in love with it, like, do you know what I mean? And embraced running as a sport.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But when you kind of start actually doing your runs, and I know you said that you were definitely not, a prodigy from day one, especially when you done that run in the school. But when you kind of start doing your runs and doing the training, did you kind of then quickly enough see progression in your running, or did you kind of just have a year, like a few years into your running, where you just, got really good out of nowhere?
I suppose like my first race was in December. I remember it was like an invitational for the school. It was like before, like I was down in Cork, so it'd be the South Munsters for me, you know,
Yeah.
and it was before that, and I think I finished around 20 odd or whatever. But I remember like the South Munsters, I finished 13th. I was like, that's not too bad. And then the Munsters, I finished ninth. And but my favourite story is the fact my first All Irelands was in Belfast first year, and I finished 93rd. So that's where I started from. But I suppose we could probably go a bit through it. But so that was first year cross country. After cross country, I decided to join Leavale, and then the following, like say, at that time you couldn't go to the Irish schools track as the first year.
Mm.
But my following year, then at the end of my second year, I finished third in the junior 1500 at the Irish schools. So there definitely was a year where like I kind of went from being like at the back of races and towards the front. I'd say like the following cross country year, I was 14th as a junior
Yeah.
at the same race. So like it wasn't like I suppose from 0 to 100, but there was definitely a jump there. I suppose from age 13 to 14. You know.
Yeah, definitely, I get you. And like when you kind of turned into, when you kind of turned 14 and you start leading the packs, or not even leading the packs, but just kind of got that boost in fitness and becoming a better runner. Did that kind of confidence lead into seeing better progression in training and races, and then eventually you were up winning and leading races?
Yeah, I'd say the big thing for me, I suppose, was my coach when I was younger, Ken Nason. Like he also went to Villanova. He's a sub 4 minute miler too, 340 for 1500, and also went to my same secondary school. And he was coming into the school even before I joined Leavelle once a week to help out with the cross country team. And it was when I joined him then he kind of took me under his wing. But he was always kind of like, even now he's still like it. He's like, it's all about the progression. It's all about like getting better year on year and stuff. And he was never. It wasn't like he was flogging me. Like I'd say, some people probably don't even believe the training I was doing towards the end of my school career, and probably with the times I was running, it was very controlled. But yeah, definitely, I suppose I was getting more and more confidence. Even small things like from going like I suppose if I look back at it, from saying not being able to keep up with my friends on a run or my teammates to being able to keep up with them,
Yeah.
and then eventually. But I suppose we can get into it a bit more. But I suppose that age, kind of 15, 16, 17, was probably where I kind of put my head down and didn't change much in training. But like just, I suppose I avoided a lot of the distractions that 16, 17-year-olds would have normally had, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. It's like there was always a balance, and this, is kind of a little bit of a selfish question in a way. But like, right there, you were saying you were kind of like away from those distractions, like maybe going out drinking, smoking, partying, and whatnot. But when it came into terms of like, just say you're with your friends, and or even just to make it a little bit easier, like dietary wise, and when you're around 16, 17, 18, because like personally, like I'd be out with my mates, and we go to the chip or we go to the Chinese or whatever, and I'd be like craving something, but I just know like it's not good for me and it's not good for my running. What kind of did you ever have to deal with stuff like that when you were around that age? And like, what did you do? Did you just like give in to the craving, or were you quite disciplined?
I'd say it was around probably around 15 when I started thinking about that stuff first. I was going to like I was going to Munster performance in junior cross country camps and stuff with some great athletes now, like the likes of Darragh McElhenney would have been down there at the time. We were all only like nippers, and
Yeah,
like I remember Steve Macklin, all right, he gave like he used to be the junior Athletics Ireland coach. He's out in Qatar now, but he gave a talk about nutrition, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. I'm like, geez, I should start doing these things right. But so I think from around the ages of 15, 17, short to sum it up, I was like, I didn't go like until I was 17. I didn't go like very hardcore on it. I was like, okay, I'll start making minor changes here, like white bread to brown bread, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But when I turned 17, and at this point now I was already a pretty good runner, I decided to like really go strict on it, and it completely backfired. Being run down, like not depriving myself of like treats here and there, like like just normal food you should be eating, like, and you get energy from that too if you don't have the right, I suppose, food pyramid. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But no, I was definitely, I suppose, from the food side of things. I always kind of like, I just eat healthy dinners really, like, but even to this day I won't be I'll allow myself a treat, but I suppose like I definitely, as I get older, you kind of make more commitments, but try not to make them straight away. That's my advice for people anyway, because it can backfire. um, so yeah,
Yeah, no, that's actually really interesting. The fact that you said it kind of it backfired. Maybe would you say it could have even been like a little bit of a shock to the system that your body wasn't getting the foods that it was usually getting when you start really nailing down on it, and then I'd say it'd be quite difficult really to see where to go from there because you're then nailing down on your diet, and then that's not really working at that time. So then are you
yeah.
probably thinking like, what do I do? Do I just go back and eat unhealthy again? So what was your kind of mindset there?
The see, thing was, I wasn't even eating that unhealthy. It was just that I was actually like, I just started like cutting everything. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh
in
yeah,
terms of everything that's, I suppose, like not having ice cream at all, not having chocolate at all that kind of thing. And it was completely my own doing. There was no one telling me to do it at all. And like, my parents and like my coach and all that, like they would never have been like that. They'd be complete opposite, to be normal. It was just my own sort of thing. But I quickly realized when I did that, like that, I was like, all right, I need to find balance here, and
yeah,
and I did. But and then I suppose to touch on the whole like going out and stuff. A lot of people say, like, oh, like I don't go out at all, or like some people like to say that they go out a lot when they don't. Well, I'll be completely honest and say that like I was never going out. Like
yeah.
that was something I was doing. I just said I knew straight away like that wasn't it for me, and I didn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely. And like, especially if you're not that real kind of person, then it's not that much of a sacrifice. And especially nowadays, it can get, especially around my age, you can get, maybe even quite intense when it comes to that stuff. So me and my mates, we just kind of try and stay away from it from to a certain extent, you'd say. But no, that's really interesting to hear from an athlete of your standards. Kind of moving on to more of nowadays things. Jumping ahead a little bit, obviously you said there real briefly, and I feel like it could have been mentioned in your introduction that it's nothing to pass over really that you're a sub 4 minute miler. That must be really cool to be able to say. I know someone like you who's trained in America and whatnot and wants to get to the biggest stage, maybe then it's not the biggest thing in the world, but definitely as of right now it is a really, really big and cool achievement. So kind of, do you want to just talk us through that entire process?
definitely. So I suppose to give a bit of, I suppose, a small bit of background in terms of the lead up, couple of years out, I was running when I was 16. I had a good breakthrough and ran 3:54 for 1500, and then the following year broke 3:50, and the year after that I ran, I think, 3:47 as like a as in 6 years, so that's around equates to around a 4:05 mile. But yeah, like that was one of the first things when I even get into running 13 or 14. I was obsessed with the sub 4 minute mile, because like Ken, my coach at the time, he's a 3:58 guy, and I started to kind of learn all about like not even just the Villanova and Irish tradition, but just the Irish tradition in general. You know, like Marcus O'Sullivan, my coach, ran 101 sub 400 miles. He's one of 3 men ever to do it.
Jesus.
And he also went to the same school, so there's plenty of connections there. And Eamon Coughlin was a world champion and everything. So, but it was one of those things that I never. And Marcus was great with that too. He was telling me like, you know, he was like, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna get there. Don't rush it. Do you know?
Yeah.
So my first year at Villanova, I ran 4:03 indoors, and you know, I thought then I was like, oh, if I get a chance to run it outdoors here now. Last year, like I was thinking, I might be on, like, you know, I might find a couple of seconds or I might be close. And lo and behold, I got injured, just pure unlucky, like just mechanical stuff that I didn't know about that was going on in my hips and stuff, and ended up giving way. But yeah, and I suppose it's a very special thing for me. And but I think as anyone can relate to this on any level, whether you're a 5 minute miler or you're a world record holder, like you always you chalk it off, and you obviously like you enjoy the achievement, which is important to do, but then you start aiming towards something else. So, but yeah, no, it's a great achievement for me, and I suppose the fact I did it when I was 20 is probably the bit of a surprise, I suppose, like that I did it that early. But it's good. It just means now I can just kind of, at this point now, it's been nearly a year, so I'll take it on and move on to the next one. Unfortunately, with COVID, I haven't been able to race too much. It's been, I think, 11 months since my last official race, but I have a race in, I think, 11 days, cross-country race. So first race with Villanova in a while. So it was a great memory, but I'm looking forward now to getting on to new things.
Yeah, definitely. And like as you said there, you can kind of dwell on it for a while. Like that's a really really great achievement, and especially for doing it at such a young age, that gives you then the opportunity to look on to even faster times. You know, because maybe if you got to 25, 26 around that age, then and you're still trying to break that 4 minute mile, that might then restrict you from moving on to bigger competitions and faster times. But the fact that you were able to do it at such a young age in athletics wise and sports wise, 20 obviously in normal society it's still very very young, but in terms especially of sport it's really really young, that you've your entire career ahead of you. So that then really allows you to, that really kind of opens up so many more faster times and bigger competitions. So is that kind of what your mindset is now with it?
100%. Yeah, I think like going back to what you said there, guys that are like 25, 26 trying to break four, like, you know, a lot of those guys could go on to even run the Olympics even when they're, you know, late 20s or like even early
Exactly.
30s. But it was, for me, I the way I look at it now is I'm looking at like, I saw something there like Nick Willis ran, he's the longest year standing of like years in a row that he's ran under four. And I think he did it around my age for the first time. And like, looking at a couple other names like there and thereabouts that went on to do, you know, like there's a lot of guys that say ran under 4 minutes at my age that, you know, kind of stagnated later on, and a lot of guys went on to do great things, like kind of like Ben Blankenship and stuff. So definitely, yeah, I'm not skipping the stepping stones, I suppose, thinking that all right, the next goal is 350 or something like that, you know. But definitely kind of hoping to use it as like a springboard to better things when I get the chance. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely. There's no need now to like, yeah, no, you have to be ambitious. I'm not saying that, but there's no need to now think like 350, 350, like 349, whatnot. You can, as you know, when things maybe clear up and races are coming back, you can just lightly and slowly enough just keep chopping away at that time, and then eventually it'll be low enough to hopefully get you into some big races and big competitions. Kind of going back a little bit from the 4 minute mile. Obviously, in Ireland anyway, in Irish stands, I know in America, within like high school over there, it's
Yeah.
winning nationals is quite a big deal. But especially over here in Ireland, it's still, it kind of separates the big dogs in races from the not so good runners. And you were you were able to do it twice. You were able to kind of back it up. You know, as you were saying there, there's some people that, like with the 4 minute mile, do it at an early age and then kind of stagger off. But, you know, going back to your school days, you were still a quite a prime athlete, winning the 1500 meters All Ireland, All Ireland's twice. So, kind of want to talk us through that. Was it 2 years in a row, and how were you kind of feeling going into the races?
Definitely, yeah. It actually, you have touched on a good point there now, actually, about like I suppose progression, because I meant to say that actually, like another thing with my coach Ken back in the day, and even Marcus now, it's all about this like steady progression. And I think my school's career is probably a perfect example of that, because I went bronze, silver, silver, gold, gold. So
Yeah,
it wasn't like I won all of them. Do you know what I mean?
definitely.
But I suppose at the end of the day, it's the senior ones that people remember on a school level, I suppose. And that's like a good analogy for athletics. It's like it's the senior level. Like
Mm,
the likes of Mark English and stuff winning medals at the senior level is probably the most important. It is the most important. But yeah, the senior boys, I won the senior boys 1500 in 2017. I was in fifth year, and it was nearly becoming a mental thing at that time, because I had gone to European under 18s as in the 1500 the year before, and I got to Eurocross as a junior, but I still hadn't an Irish title of any kind to my name.
yeah.
I could probably like I have plenty of silver and bronzes from other different races, but um, yeah, I was nervous. I was very nervous because Marcus was actually there at that race. And it was at the time where, like, it was kind of 50-50 as to whether I was going to be able to go to Villanova or not. And it's not that it's all riding on that one race, but winning that one also always helps, because, like, the schools is the big day of the year. So, yeah, I think from my memory, it was like, it was a good race. Like, there's Bobby Crowley and Fintan Stewart, who'd ran 350 for 1500 in there. So, like, it was a high quality race, as it always is. And it came down to the last I think it was the last 70 or 80 meters. I was kind of tracking all the moves like on the day. Ken was saying to me, he was like, look, you're going to have to track each move here, but I don't want you hitting the front until you get to the home straight. And even on the day I had my doubts. I was kind of like, oh, I think I could go at 300 to go, or I could go at 400 to go. And lo and behold, like I didn't. And the person that, the athletes that did make the move there didn't end up winning, so it played into my hands.
Yeah.
So that was a great memory. And I kind of, at that point, I was like, oh, I can't top this now as a school athlete, like, because I won it. And then the whole kind of thing came about trying to win it again. And, you think as a senior it'd be easier to win it the second time around as you're older, but not when you have a superstar like Darragh McElhenney there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He's a great athlete. We've had plenty of races down through the years, and hopefully we'll have many to come as seniors as well. But he'd ran like 14:11 national or world junior qualifying time to 5K just before the race, and I was trying to qualify for world juniors in the 1500, and so it ended up being, it's one of my favorite races ever, because it was very unique in terms of like we jogged for like 300 meters and he hit the front, and we literally just, it felt like a sprint for 3 laps. Like it was sub 4 minute mile pace for 3 laps. So as high school athletes or secondary school athletes, pretty good. And the same sort of thing, 50 meters to go, I just came by. But no, it's a great memory. And I suppose for me, and definitely my mom and dad, because the amount of times they watch my races on YouTube or on their phones back is, all parents are the same. I'm telling you, I thought it was just me until I started going to other people's houses and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, it was like the perfect end to my school's career, I suppose. Like winning them at the end of them as opposed towards the start, and then not backing it up.
Yeah, 100%. And especially the fact that, over in America, schools is kind of, it's not like in Ireland where you kind of do it for your skill, and then you go that evening and do it for your club. It's like in America, schools is like the biggest thing. So I'd say that really helped your case of getting into Villanova, or even at that point, any real college on a scholarship for running over to America. So that definitely that definitely really helped your case then to earn your scholarship.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, I could probably speak for at least from the outside looking in, like what college coaches would look for, and they look for the fast times, of course, but they look for athletes that can win races too, because a lot of the NCAA style races, you're going through heats and finals, and they can be tactical and stuff. So being a good racer is a very important aspect of it, and I suppose that's probably the biggest opportunity to showcase your tactics and stuff.
Definitely, yeah. Like, I feel like nowadays people, like, I've been hearing this around everywhere, but people are so bogged down on times. But years ago, it was you're the fastest if you win the race that you're running. And it's just, I feel like that's kind of out the window, especially at the moment. Like, I think just the fact that running is getting so much bigger, and people from the outside, like, people used to never know anything about running, but more people that just, like, normal people just, flicking through the telly and seeing races are so caught up in what times people are running, and especially, like, the 5K. What I've realised is when you say I'm a long distance runner and I run the 5K, no one ever asks, oh, what kind of races have you been in, or have you run races? It's all, what's your best? What's your 5K best? And I feel like that kind of gets to people in the sense that it's like, I need to run fast just in case someone asks me what my best is, so I can tell them I have a fast time, instead of just going into races and winning.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I feel like I could be wrong, but I think every runner has kind of come to at one point or another, like having an over obsession with times.
Yeah,
And obviously times, like, I mean, times are super important, but
definitely.
the mindset of getting them is what can be kind of altered. Like, because that's actually funny. Like, because even last indoors, like Mark's telling me, like, don't worry about the clock. Like, do you know what I mean? If you're in a good race, chances are, if you win it, you're either going to run quicker, the pacers, after messing up. And if you're conscious that the pacers after messing up and you hit the front kind of too drastically, you could end up tiring yourself, where you mightn't get a quick time, and you also might finish down the packing of the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, and sure, that's actually exactly what I did that day in Boston. I ended up winning the race, late move, kind of tracked all the moves and was on the train and ended up winning. Um, but yeah, I think it's kind of funny now actually to say that, because at the moment in Ireland, the fact that there's other than a handful of elite athletes that are getting to, like, that everyone else isn't getting to race, there's almost like an obsession with time trials.
yeah,
And time
definitely.
trials are great. I've done a couple of them myself. I think you have to do them, like, because you have to kind of, like, even for your body, you have to keep going. But it's
Definitely.
like on the road too, with the shoes, with a course, with everything. It's like, okay, I ran such and such a time on this course, but I ran it on my own. It was hilly, or I ran it with 4 or 5 lads, and we all paced each other. It's so I think, yeah, like, I hope that, you know with the kind of, definitely in this age there is more of an obsession with times, and which is, it's good to a degree because you want to run quick, but the biggest goal, I suppose, being a junior and even being a senior, honestly, is winning national titles. Because you look at the athletes that win, like Mark English, he's won. I'm gonna do it wrong now, but I think he's run like 7 or 8 national 800-meter senior titles, and he's multiple European medals. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Definitely,
all
yeah.
about, if you are the best, chances are you're running quick. Do you know what I mean? As you say. So I hope that, like, people, like, at all levels, myself included, cannot become bogged down with times. And like Donny Walsh, he's a Leavell coach. He was Marcus's coach growing up, and he was like, "Run the race, the time will come."
Not 100%. And I think, real quick before we move on, like, what I think probably could be the best example is Mo Farah in the London and then in the Rio Olympics doing the double quadruple. Is like, who I can't anyway. I don't know any of the times he ran in either the 5K, the two 5Ks that he won, or the two 10Ks that he ran. Sorry. But the fact that he done the double quadruple, won the 5K and the 10K in two separate Olympics, is what everybody notices. And I feel like we need to get back to that, see, when people are winning big caliber races, being happy that people are winning, and the athlete being happy that they won, then getting bogged down on the time. Because I've seen athletes cross the finish line after winning a race being disappointed because they didn't get the time they want. And I know, as you said, time is important, but winning a race is what you go out to do, especially on the world stage. So I feel like, hopefully soon enough, people can focus more on winning races than just time. So I actually can't even remember how we've gotten onto this topic, but
Me
we
either, man. But it's
we
definitely
we can
true because,
yeah,
like, I mean, like, even that's the way the NCAA system sign is like set up. Like you have a couple of chances to run quick, and then you also have your conference championships and your national championships. So definitely getting the perfect balance is important.
No, 100%. And you were talking about there, Mark English. Having a few European medals under his belt. But you kind of dipped your toes in the European stage yourself at the under 20 levels. In both track and cross country. Representing Ireland in the Europeans 4 times. So what was it? Was it like 3 cross country, 1 track, or 2 cross country, 2 track?
So I made European cross country in fourth year, or sorry, in fifth year and sixth year. So 3 years out of age and 2 years out of age, and I made the European under 18 1500 and the European under 20 1500. So I think it was a great experience. At that point, I mean, the goal right now is to try and get myself to a level where I can actually get in these races and compete for a medal. And that's kind of the main reason I've come to America. Like some people are saying, oh, why aren't you running this? Why aren't you running that? And it's like I'm trying to get myself to a level where like I'm buying into the American system so that when I come out of it, or hopefully next summer if I get the chance, but like actually get to an international championship where you're competing, because I've had the experience of promotions. Like I was racing Jakob Ingebrigtsen at 17 years old. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is it's a cool experience. Like I mean, one of the lads was watching his the Team Ingebrigtsen YouTube documentary last year. One of the guys on my team here. And I was like, oh, I'm on that actually. Like I walked by the camera once, and he's like, what? Couldn't believe it, because
That's class.
so. But no, like I think like your cross, I unfortunately picked up an actual ankle injury the first time I ran, and I finished the race, but I was hobbling. I would think I finished 76th, and then the other year I finished 40th. European Youths I made the final and finished 8th, and then the European Under 20s I finished I think 18th overall, didn't make the final. So nowhere towards the front, but great experience, and it's always the ultimate honour to represent your country. So yeah, I think I wouldn't get too bogged down being a junior, or anyone out there that's listening to this, if they're saying, oh my God, I'm 17, 18 and I'm not running, I haven't ran for Ireland yet, or I haven't ran at the Europeans or anything, is a lot of the people that run at those competitions at that age end up burning out, and some end up coming through. And just like then you have guys and girls who run and end up winning medals and running at senior internationals that have never ran it as a junior. So I definitely wouldn't think, like, I wouldn't get bogged down on making them, but if you're at the level where you can kind of run a standard and take the chance, it definitely stood to me. It made some of the NCAA races here a bit less daunting when you have the whole experience.
Yeah, no, definitely, and especially at a young age, there's definitely some athletes that do end up coming through, but a big portion of them either burn out or just get sick of the sport. And as you said, maybe under 20s is still a pretty young age, so there was no reason whatsoever to be getting bogged down on any of the races. Just for when you get to a higher level in the future, it's good to have that experience, to have the international level experience for, as I said, when you get to higher level and higher caliber competitions in the future. So yeah, maybe you didn't go out and win gold in every race you got to, but even making finals and getting that experience, like we said, is always a really, really good thing.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. I think it's they're cool opportunities, 100%. And it's harder. It's harder to say it at the time, because I came away from one or two of those races being gutted and devastated. But now, as being a couple of years older, I can look back on it and be like, okay, do you know what? Like, maybe you were meant to be there. Do you know what I mean? At that
Yeah,
time, and that, like, I mean, I still haven't done anything yet, but hopefully in the future I can get to the level.
definitely, and we'll be looking forward to that. But for anyone watching this on YouTube, we can look at you now, Charlie. We can see that you're absolutely kitted out in the Villanova gear, and you're, as I mentioned, I've had athletes who have been talking about getting into the scholarship lifestyle and college lifestyle and running lifestyle over in America, which is great to hear. But I haven't yet gotten the opportunity to talk to someone who hasn't only been there for a year but nearly 3 years now.
Yeah.
Um, getting, I feel like if you're there for a year, the first bit is kind of settling in, meeting the team and everything and whatnot. But for being there over 2 years, edging 3 years now, is kind of like you've been around the block in a sense when it comes to the whole college and running experience in America. So you were on a high level of running in Ireland, and I asked this question to a lot of athletes that are aspiring to go over to America. But to be able to say, ask it to someone who has been there, you were at a level within Ireland who was going out, who was kind of a force to be reckoned with before a race and was in contention with winning gold medals and getting into high caliber races. When you went over to America then and you were doing training sessions and you were in races, was it the fact that then you were kind of at the back of the pack in training, back of the pack in races, and it was a bit of a, shock to the system? Or did it kind of did your progress kind of stay steady and you were still, up the pack and doing really well?
I think I definitely had like a bit of a, as everyone had said to me going over, like, you're not going to be at the top of the pack, you're not going to be here and there. And, it's naive on a couple of occasions, like where I've hit the front and then you end up dying. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like my first race for Villanova was in Wisconsin, about 2.5 years ago now. So, and I was in the B race. So, like just even I wasn't even on the top team. Do you know what I mean? Because of the race we did beforehand, I didn't end up making it, and I was like, okay, well, like I've gone from being like one of the best runners back home in my little kind of small pond, like being a big fish, to being like, okay, I'm not even on the team. Like I need to get moving here, and like I ended up making the team, but I wasn't at the front. So like I yeah, I had a couple of good races where I was getting closer to the front, like top 10 conference and top 15 at a regional qualifier. But yeah, NCAAs, like I was 215th my first year. And, like I was at 2 Euro crosses like before that. So that was a big shock. But I was glad to know that I had some messages after that race that I wasn't the only one that had been there, and I'd heard some great athletes that had been in a similar position, So it's definitely like kind of like what I was saying about kind of stepping the rings of the ladder. Like it's like you almost start again, and it's not always perfect either. Like I had like last cross country season up until I got it right at the end of the season, I had some bad races. You know what I mean? And that was just, it happens. It's not like you come here and you're like, all right, you're set. Like you're not. It's like you get here and it's like, you get moving. But no, I heard you ask that question to Sean Donoghue because I listened in on that one because it had grabbed my attention. I was on the phone to him this morning, actually. Just he was asking if you have a couple of questions and looking forward to him getting here. But no, I think that it's something you're kind of prepared for almost, because so many people are telling you like, oh, the NCAA is insane. Like, just to put it into context, like you're having, I think last year anyway, like in the normal season indoors, there were around, like there were over 30 guys broke 4 minutes. That's in college, which is amazing. So yeah, it's like it is definitely an adjustment, but I think it's great if you have the right mindset, because you're going to a country with just better competition, like in the masses. Like there's just more people out there that are better. There's always someone better than you out here, which is good because it just makes you hunger to get even better.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's good to hear. Kind of, you said that you were put into the B race when you had your first race over there in Villanova, and you were saying that it is definitely a shock. Did your confidence suffer at all in your first few years here, or did you always come to grips to the fact that you were saying people were telling you that was going to happen before you went over? So did that definitely make it easier when you went over there, or did your confidence suffer at all?
No, I was lucky to be prepared for it, but not dwell on it. Also, to be like, all right, I'm not getting comfortable here. Like I hate not being in the first race, or I hate not like being towards the front of a race. So my confidence didn't necessarily take a hit because I was prepared for it, but it was almost like just like an added motivation to like, okay, I need to get better here now, and I need to keep getting better. And I'm sure I'm still here now. Like I'm seeing news this morning of people running, 354, 355 for the mile in the NCAA, and I'm like, I'm still not there. I haven't had the chance yet, obviously, but there's always kind of like, you're on to the next thing. So yeah, it's a good thing. Like I think it's good that there's like I suppose an awareness of it and people are kind of tipped off. But it's also like you learn the right way. Like I mean, I went out in a couple of races stupidly too fast and you die. But they're probably the races you learn the most from because
Definitely.
eventually you hope to get to the point where towards the end of your college career where you're at the front and you're actually competing.
Yeah, no, I get you 100%, and it's good to see, and it's good to hear that you're prepared not only physically, because obviously it can be the standard over there can be really really high, but obviously mentally, to be prepared for kind of like you're ready to take the hit, and you use it as motivation. So that's always really good to hear. Obviously, we kind of, which is I know we are talking about there, but we kind of dwell on the fact that kind of automatically think that you're obviously going to be at the back of the pack and going to be at the back of the pack in races and whatnot. But then as you build experience, you're going to kind of have to switch out of that mindset and go to winning races and saying that you're there and you made there and you're in contesting for gold medals and winning big caliber races. So in terms of winning races or even just setting a PB or having a good race in America so far, what has been your best achievement?
I suppose I quite like you were saying. I suppose not dwelling on being at the back. I made the top 10. I finished 10th at our conference cross country. That was only about 3 months after I got there. So after one or two shaky races to kind of put it together, and 14th at the regionals. So like that was good. And as I kind of said there on the whole sub 4 thing, I ran 4:03 and I won that race. As like I think it was February of my first year. So that was a great achievement. And then the sub 4, obviously, is probably the number one achievement for now. Hopefully not for too long. But
Yeah.
and I suppose the cool achievements actually are the team achievements. Like we have conference cross country and conference indoor and outdoor. And I haven't ran outdoor yet because I was injured my first year. So I sat it out so I can run later on and extend like the scholarship. And last year I ended up getting cancelled because of COVID. So fingers crossed this year I can get on an outdoor track. But even indoor and cross country, we finished second my first year and we really should have won. We didn't in our conference cross country. And we ended up winning the following year, which was great to be a part of. Even though I didn't have the race I wanted to that day, it was great to know that like the team put it together and we were a part of it. And then similar then like to the cross country indoors, we have conference where like everyone runs their individual event, like the 800, the mile, the 5k and sprints and jumps and everything. But there's like a points tally, kind of like the national leagues, like but except it is your national meet, like your conference meet. And we happened to win those one of my first year as a team and didn't race as well as I wanted to. And then I ran it last year and I ended up racing 4 times in the weekend. So I
Jesus.
ran I ran the distance medley relay, which is around the 800 leg of that, the mile heat, the mile final, and the 4x800. So I ran I think 150, 151, and then like a 4:15 to qualify and a tactical like 4:20 to finish second. So there, I suppose the individual achievements are obviously, you're delighted to have them, but the team ones as well, that's something that's grown on me a lot since I came here, is the whole the team camaraderie, because you're with the guys all the time. It's a bit different with COVID now, like we're kind of in pods training at the moment because we're trying to limit contact and stuff, but in normal circumstances, like you're living with them every day, you're training with them, you're having dinner together, all that kind of stuff, and before you know it, like you form a camaraderie where it's like you kind of remember the team wins just as much, if not more, than the individual ones.
Yeah, 100%, and it's refreshing to hear that someone like yourself that actually went over to America has had victories and kind of has won races and has put themselves out there to kind of that will kind of allow people then to know and to get out of a mindset in the sense that it's like you're not just going over there because it's America. You actually want to win races and you want to get up the field and up the pack. So it's obviously really good to hear. And you know, in terms of like obviously you're doing big things and big training and in pretty high caliber NCAA races over in America at the moment. But you know, when your scholarship finishes and your studies finish over in America as well, like what's the kind of plan from there? You know, plans kind of for the future as well. Just to do you want to stay train in America? Just maybe due to quality of running and altitude and intensity of training, or do you want to come back home and kind of join a team over here?
Yeah, so like that's I suppose the golden question everyone gets asked, and everyone that's in America at the moment, like internationally and even just in general, think about. I suppose like the goal right now is just I'm thinking about it obviously because I mean I'll be at Villanova for at least 5 years because of the way things are done. Like I'm able to stretch seasons out because I didn't compete some of them.
Yeah,
Uh, so I'll be here till like I'm halfway through my third year, but I'll be here for at least five. Um, but after, I'd love to get to the level. I kind of gotten a taste for it now, but I'd love to get to the level where I could hopefully pursue it like as a professional. And in terms of where that would be, I'm kind of open to everything, like staying in America if possible, maybe going to Australia or like coming home. That'll probably be the that'll be kind of a decision closer to. Hopefully, I'll have options, and but yeah, the end goal is trying to pursue running as best as possible past college. And I suppose the best way of doing that is focusing on the now and trying to get the best out of yourself while you're here.
yeah, 100%. So basically, to kind of sum it down, is just wherever the opportunity arises to take running as a profession, would you be kind of open to basically go anywhere just to pick that up, or do you have kind of credentials that has to meet?
I suppose it would have, yeah, like it would have to be the right time. Like some people they decide to leave college early and then go, whereas like that wouldn't be for me. Like I want to do my college career to the fullest, at least like the regular one, like the 4 years and all that. um but yeah, I mean, I think I'd be lying if I said that America wasn't my first option. Coming out here now, I think I'd love to fall in the right group. But that's suppose the thing, the right group. It's just like when you come to America or even back home, like if you're trying to go to, even outside of running, trying to go to college, like what college you try to pick, you have to pick
Yeah.
the right college for you, for your course. And in America, you have to pick the right college for running and for school. So I suppose after that, I won't probably just go straight into just one group. I suppose I'd probably have to obviously have the right coaching setup or team setup. I mean, and all that. But yeah, I think it's not an easy thing to do. To run
Definitely.
professional after college. So you'd have to be, even from at my level, I'm still tiny bit off it. So it's a good motivation to keep getting better.
Yeah, 100%. And fingers crossed, when your time runs out in college or near enough your end of time in college, that maybe Bowerman or the Brooks Beast or Tim and Elite might be reaching out to you and wanting you to be joining the team and hopefully representing Ireland on a big world stage in the future. Obviously, at the moment, Tokyo, or not even Tokyo, just the Olympics in 2021 probably wouldn't even be on your horizon, but maybe even 2024 Olympics or the 2028 Olympics. As we were saying, you broke the 4 minute mile at age 20, so you still have a while now to get onto that world stage and even get into your prime as such of running. So it's going to be very interesting to see where things go for you after college or even during college if any big opportunity or big races arise. So we'll be keeping ourselves and everyone on the podcast up to date with that, and hopefully if something does arrive in the future or just even for another episode of podcast we might see it on again. Again, sorry for the start with the whole technical difficulties. I say it was very annoying on both ends, but we got a really good solid episode in. It was good to have someone who from Ireland has moved over to America and witnessed the American lifestyle when it comes to running, and it was definitely a very, very informative and enjoyable episode. So I appreciate you taking the time and coming onto the podcast.
No hassle at all, Killian. Really enjoyed it. Don't worry about the technical difficulties at all. We're very used to that nowadays, this day and age. And I'll be looking forward to watching your own progress now as well for Clonliffe. And I'll definitely come on, hopefully with some updated PBs the next time I get on the podcast. Fingers crossed.
Definitely, definitely. And for anyone watching and listening at home, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.